Weird science is the revolution.
Rook Exodus number 2, and this is obviously a Ghost Machine book. Jeff Johns writing, Jason Faubuck on art, Brad Anderson on colors. Yeah, letters, Rob Lay. I said in my most anticipated show that most people like this book more than the other. I said why I know that the Ghost Machine books are great is because when each one comes out, I then proclaim that's now my favorite. Like I'm telling you, Geiger 2 comes out. I'm like, I think I like Geiger the most now. We just Red Coat last. I think Red Coat's the best of these. And then we get to this again. And again, I'm like, I think this is the best of these. And the art, like you can like them for different reasons as well. I like the historical aspects of Red Coat, but I love the art of Jason Faubuck here. The Geiger thing, I just like the story. And I like the story of all of them, but each of them has...
I love the setting of Geiger.
None of the art's bad. Yeah, the idea that maybe you don't like, Brian Hitch's art as much as Jason Faubuck. It's still not bad. And Gary Friend, all these are pretty good. So when you start this issue, the idea that we end up with what was and looking like swine just being destroyed, you jump into here. And I didn't know what was going on at first because we hadn't had this obviously in a month. And I'm like, wait a minute, who's that? What we do find out, it's Dire Wolf.
Yep.
And her wolves, and one of the main ones, this Freya, and they're going to try to figure out what's going on. At first, I thought this was going to be Rook, but it ends up being this guy. And that's why by the end, the idea that she says to Rook, hey, Swine's dead. Swine's gone. And she's upset. I mean, That's what I like. You realize right away that this woman, after seeing what ends up being the worst in that Earth saw, we understand that she's pretty good because she says, oh, Swine, not you too. And then trying to figure out the connections and things like that and where maybe Rook is, she goes off to do that. But we see that in that, and she's trying to find Rook.
Yes.
And so she's going, and then you see what Rook is. He doesn't know if Swine's alive or dead. He hasn't seen the body. So he thinks that we had a plan that if things go wrong, Swine would run off, or if it happened to him to run off, you disable the helmet because you can get tracked that way. Wait till a little bit, put the helmet on, try to get a hold of him to tell where it is, and that's what he's waiting for. He's waiting to see if he gets this message. So he doesn't want to get far away, or not keep checking, but he needs to dive down to get this piece of what is another wrecked rocket to actually finish their rocket. Again, it's that big play. Remember, Swine kind of said he wasn't going to go, but Rook's kind of like, yeah, I think
he's not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, he's not going to. And he's like, we need to get out of here. And so he's waiting, says, I got to die, but I don't want to. And then just gets attacked. But what looks right away is Godzilla. I mean, it's like Godzilla out of the water. We find out it's pretty much an oversized snapping turtle kaiju. But when it does attack, he ends up getting thrown out of his boat. He uses the opportunity. I'll tell you, the guy is an opportunist where, okay, I'm in the water getting attacked by a giant...
Might as well grab the part.
Might as well grab the part. I'm already down here. So he grabs it, and then he swims off. And as he does this, a very Batman move, where you have this giant turtle coming out of the water to just eat him. And he presses a button to activate his car, the Rook mobile, and it comes flying in and just blindsides it. I didn't think in my mind, I wish there was more of an explosion. I didn't think this was going to be enough to actually even hurt it because of how big it is, and it's a turtle, but it does seem to...
I guess snap his neck or something?
Yeah, snap this neck and he's dead.
Because it's dead.
Yeah, it's not even like asleep because he says the vultures will take care of the rest. I'm like, holy crap. And in that, it looks like he could maybe try to recover the car. I mean, there's some damage, right?
It looks like the front wheels are missing. Yeah,
but maybe like try to do something. That is your car, but he's just going to hoof it. So he goes off back into town. He has that.
I'm about to leave anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that might be the play. I mean, I just want to get back and do this work. And he's still waiting for Swine to get a hold of him, but he's going to finish the rocket. And, and you have what is the classic pizza place, the Leaning Tower of Pizza. You have that. You even see at a point, if this does come into play, a lot of bikes and things around from, where people were bike messengers or this. And these actually look like they would be those bikes that they set up where you can rent them for go around the city and stuff. But there are vehicles and things that he probably could use. But at this point, he is going to I'm waiting for Swine. I don't want to leave without him. He says, I don't want to leave without him. He actually even starts thinking that isn't what he usually is about. That the birds, because when they get attacked by that turtle, they end up hitting a deal, and they call it the feedback instinct influence type deal through the helmet, that you kind of become so much one with the animal, it seems, that you get their instinctual things and ideas as well through them and their thoughts in the helmet, where he does seem to think that he's caring more for people than he normally would. And he says at one point, I won't leave without Swine. I want to do this, but maybe that's the birds. And even then, though, the birds are leaving to just not care about him. So then he thinks that on the opposite side, I want to leave without him, and that might be the birds too. This whole helmet is messing with him a lot of how he thinks he's thinking. Because again, when you have the instincts hit, the birds were like, screw, like basically, it's a flock of birds.
Everybody run.
Everyone says, screw Ollie, I'm out, but they end up doing it together. It's such a weird play. And it is the idea of being happy that you're not the ones who are being attacked or killed. And that's not a great thing, but that's instinctual. And some people even say that that's the case with them. It's bad, but he doesn't understand. Like, he's really worried that either way he's thinking, he thinks it's somehow weird and not really him. But I think that he wants to wait for Swine and see, and he's hoping for the best. I think he's already starting at this point to kind of realize. But I think that it's one of those things, if this continued without Direwolf, if you're Rook, seem to like Swine, says my only friend, my best friend, would you be able to say, I do think he's dead, I'm leaving, knowing that all you're going to think for the rest is that I should have waited to actually see. So I think that what he would have done without he would have went in search of the body.
Yes, exactly. That's what he would have done.
Even if he thought that he was dead, he'd have to see the body before going.
I need to know for sure.
Yeah, because there'd always be that doubt. So luckily, and I think that Geoff Johns is playing it that way, you need somebody to tell him this so that he doesn't need to go, because it's not that fun watching him look for a dead body. Right. So you end up then where, and I'm telling you, if you like Direwolf at the beginning, you didn't get much of her, not even really knowing who or what, but seemed, oh man, Swine, shucks, you were one of the good ones. You kind of know it's a good person. But when she comes in and you just have Rook fall asleep on this seat, on this chair, and she comes in and knocks it over just to mess with him, it's pretty cool. I like her a lot. I think that in this, where I think that Geoff Johns is such a good writer and character work and things like that, that I could I say that she's my favorite character, and I won't get yelled at on YouTube.
You always get yelled at, Jim.
But if you say, I think that the way this is played out, I kind of already think she might be my favorite character.
All right.
And I think that the way it's played too, because I think that a lot of people might say, oh, even though he died, Swine's my favorite character.
That's me, Jim.
Yeah, the way Rook plays out is that weird play of just being the main character, but everybody else is more interesting. I think he's supposed to not be as interesting, if that makes sense. The idea that he's all business, he wants to escape
Very
Exodus,
stoic.
He wants to get back stoic. When you have these other characters, I did like Swine, but when I see her, I'm like, she's pretty cool. And she's there. The other thing that I like about her is her and her father is mentioned, not really knowing, is this guy, her father dead, alive, whatever happened, whatever. But she is this direwolf. She wants to save Exodus. And so this planet that Rook needs to desperately get off of because he says it's screwed and can't be fixed, she wants to fix it. I kind of like that. And commencing the deal, but actually in a part even still continues to help Rook do what he wants to do, but doesn't want to leave the planet. This is where I am. This is what we're doing. And also has a bunch of information because she knows that he's making a rocket. No, they seem to be friendly enough, but she says they're going to come and get us. This seems, this is the tropey aliens type thing, or any sort of,
we need to wait for the military to come and save us. We need to wait for them
to come and save us, when and we know reading that ain't happening. And if they do come, they're not coming to save you. So when he says they ain't coming, they abandoned ship. And in this, I think that you get Direwolf here. She is she's a dreamer. She thinks that just the idea that what we've seen, a better world, she thinks they're going to come back just to help who's left when you have Rook who only has to say and kind of say, there's no money to be made here. Yeah. They ended up losing money. There's no way they're coming back just for us. We're done. It's over. I'm getting off of here. Never saying where exactly what he's going to do or how he's going to get back to Earth, or if that's all these crazy things. And in fact, I think that if he took off, there's no way that this rocket gets back to Earth. It's fine and dandy, but I don't know that this patched together thing is even going to get everybody else crashes.
I don't think he majored in astrophysics.
No, and that's what I'm saying. And the idea of he's I just had the idea he's thinking, got to build this rocket. I got to get out of the atmosphere. What do you do then? Do you know how much fuel you need to get? Do you know what direction?
How long is it going to take to get back to Earth?
How long is it going to get that? Or these other ships? These things seem like legit ships.
How much fuel do you have for the trip?
Yeah, can you jump into light speed? Do you need to? I don't know.
Do you know how to fix anything if it gets broken along the way? Imagine your ship gets hit by a meteor.
I think he's desperate that we were supposed to believe that he don't care. If he gets off of this, at least he dies not on Exodus. But in that, I think it's really cool. Direwolf is there. And the wolves are with her, and they look so cool.
Oh, they are so cool.
They're big, but not like those bears. I mean, they're ridiculous. So they're there talking, and you end up having Rook. And I think, again, you played out like this could have been a conversation that's happened before. And hey, I know you don't really, but why don't you go with me? No, I can't. This is our world. She keeps saying, we got to save Exodus. No. This isn't, we got to save. And he's like, there's no second chance. And her name is Donica. He says. Yeah. Our only chance is to get out of there. And as he's saying that, was going to say our only chance is this rocket that now pretty much it's blowing up. I mean, you end up where at that point to force the issue, but sets up Geoff Johns. He's not setting up the idea that, oh man, he's going to give up with what he's setting up is this guy does not want to stay. He doesn't think it should be saved to then make him become a savior. In my mind, that's the idea of the reluctant guy. Because he doesn't have any other option then. But you end up where there's an explosion and they're being attacked by this Ursa who has crazy equipment. These bears are huge. They have things mecha riding on the bears.
They're shooting frickin' lasers.
Yeah, they're doing laser attacks, all that. Yeah, frickin' indeed. I'm waiting for the sharks with lasers on their lasers.
Mini-me, come ride the bear with me.
They're riding this, and you do get where I think that's a good play, and Jason Fabok's art does it so great. First off, these, just the idea of Rook, but also Direwolf. Direwolf especially seems to be almost like a hippie kind of thing. Hey, we got to save the Exodus because, we have our animals, and that's what's good, and the animals are great.
Don't kill any animals.
She even says right away, these awful bears, she says, we can't kill them. It's not their fault. But when you see it, the bears are way too big. They're also following the worst mecha you've ever seen. This guy is not a guy who likes the bears. These bears are weapons. And you can tell right away that he's wrong in what he's doing. And then she ends up being able to explain to Rook, who doesn't seem to be full in with the info. These aren't wardens like us. Even Rook's like, well, a warden, we could talk. What would he do? This isn't a warden. This is somebody who's commandeered this stuff and is making it on their own purpose. And says, and it's great. What does this guy want? And he wants Exodus in a thing where that's the least that Rook wants. He could keep it, the whole thing. And even then she's yelling, get your helmet on, bossy as ever. And I like that you play that. It's a very Star Wars-esque thing of you have that background already without explanation. You get it through the dialogue. When he says you're bossy as ever, that's funny because they've hung out together, that they know each other because they're wardens. And there is kind of this group. That means something. It meant something to be a warden. This guy isn't a warden. He is just using these people. And at the one point, it is a crazy play where you even have Direwolf say, don't hurt the animals. It's not their fault. And you see the bear kind of look up at the thing, the guy being killed on its head, but you don't really see that. You see the bear lay. It was kind of a cool play. But even the bear's getting toppled over. And they're falling in front of vehicles and things, and this guy that we find out again, we see Ursa, doesn't care. He doesn't care if you're running over things. You're done now, and that's where you'll get the full deal. Birds attack, get the wolves to attack, but boy, these bears are just insanely big. And that's when then, as they get closer and closer, for some reason, their thing seems to be to destroy the rocket that Rook spent all that time building, and it gets destroyed. It just gets, because at that point, it's even good where this seems like Rook's like, all right, now I can convince,
Okay, now we can leave.
Now are you with me? Let's get the hell out. The only saving grace, and let's get in my rocket and get out of here.
And as soon as he says that, the turret starts turning towards the rocket.
Oh, yeah. And it blows up. And yeah, it says, we're dead if we stay here, and we're not dead yet. And oh my God. But says about this Earthsaw and what this Earthsaw is about. And when you see that rocket going down, it's incredible.
Oh, yeah. That splash page is just amazing.
And so give Rook some credit. We know how big the bears are. And they're like a little speck. Pretty much. This rocket is huge.
It's massive.
And it just gets destroyed. It just falls down in a crash. And I love the idea when it hits birds or going all over, Rook's birds, things like that. But then you end up having this chase going where it is, I'm telling you, it's so cool seeing cars just come out of tunnels that don't have anything past a cliff and flying. And then you have speeder bikes, you get wolves, you get all these things going. Pretty cool as they do escape. And you end up having them kind of get away, or at least they're heading towards escape. But that's where he says, who is this person? Like, what's going on? And even then, the idea of, all right, will you help me? Will you do this? I will once you help me save Exodus. Like, stop the nonsense. But it seems like he has no other option. Then she says he calls himself Earthsaw, and he's not a Warden, Rook. Or at least he wasn't before he stole that helmet. And I like the idea that you get the play. It's not just wearing the helmet. We've seen one of the things that you have. And again, is this the play of Rook? It's like naming a pet. If you have a dog and you find a dog and you name it, it's hard to get rid of it then. He's getting to a point where these birds are so in tune with them, and he's in tune with the birds. I think he thinks he's got to get out of here before he just becomes one with these birds, and they'll never be able to leave. And now he's not going to be able to. And says that, Warden's meant something, but says he knows how to use the thing in those oversized bears. Says the bears aren't the only one who've been undergone genetic alteration. The man behind the mask is too. And that's pretty crazy. Like to think what that means, and says, what does he want? He wants Exodus. Exodus is dying. And that's when she's just as bad as him. The Rook says, all right, well, I guess we're screwed. You got to get in the rocket with me. But she won't. Now she says, oh, Rook, like, what else does he have? And says, oh, no, you're wrong. We can save Rook. We can save our Exodus, but we need to get to the other wardens. Like, she's using that to make him help her, but that's what they're going to have to do. And says, Earthsaw, we need to get to them before him, not because he's going to talk shade on them, or he's going to kill them and steal the helmets. Yeah. That's what he's been doing. And he says, we even saw that last chapter. And he says, bring me their helmets with the head still inside. And it really, at that point, we said it before. First off, that cod piece is ridiculous that he has on, but it is
he's compensating.
But he's a big dude.
Yeah.
He really is, but it ends up becoming road warrior. Yeah. He's a road warrior guy. Like, this is all awesome. The way that it's set up, and even the weapons and things, this weird axe thing that, pretty cool. I don't know how it works or what he does with it, but it's like a weird deal of how this is, but it's pretty cool looking. He's got other people following him already, and he's got these bears. He's got all this tech. Big things and cool things. You would guess that if he wanted to get off Exodus, he would probably be able to, the stuff that he's able to get a hold of, but he wants to control it, and we'll have to see. But one of the fun things, especially when we see the next cover that I see right here, is the idea of all the other wardens and things like that, and seeing what they are. And
there's a turtle warden. Where was he earlier?
And again, why would we find a crazy idea that was actually, the idea of Earthsaw with the turtle helmet on? But why would he would screw with him that way? I think he'd just come right at him. But
I just want the next issue we see the warden be like, you killed one of my turtles, you asshole.
Yeah, really. I want to see like the bison. You already have the bear. You have a ram. You have a fox. You have an elk. You have all it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Good. Again, now it's my favorite. That's the problem. What would you give it?
I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going really 9 as well. This. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, the artwork's spectacular. And like you said, we're just building out the world. And I really like Direwolf too. Now that Swine's gone, rest in peace, the OG. Now she's my favorite because I have no choice.
Weird science is the revolution.